The old house stood, silent, watching, waiting. Its shadow stretched towards me like grasping claws. 10 years had passed, yet the house remained unchanged. It was a monument to a past I desperately wanted to forget. My reasons for returning were laced with guilt and obligation. My parents, ever hopeful, wanted to sell the house, to finally close the chapter on the nightmare that was Esther. But some wounds never truly heal, and some ghosts refuse to depart. As I stepped across the threshold, a cold shiver ran down my spine. The air inside was thick with dust and the weight of memories. Fear, cold and clammy, gripped my heart. Esther. The name echoed in the silence. A 9-year-old girl with an innocent face and a heart filled with darkness. My parents, blinded by their desire for another child, had adopted her from Russia. We were a family for a short, terrifying period. But Esther harbored a secret, a sinister nature that revealed itself in the dead of night, in the chilling whispers I heard, in the fear that clung to me like a shroud. My parents dismissed my concerns. They saw only the innocent child. I, however, saw the truth hidden behind her innocent facade. The house creaked around me. Each groan of the floorboards, each sigh of the wind through the broken window panes sounded like whispers, whispers that sent chills down my spine. I wandered through the rooms, each one a stark reminder of our shared history. The living room where Esther would sit, her eyes fixed on me with unnerving intensity. The dining room where we had our last meal as a family, the tension so thick it was suffocating. And then I heard it, a sound that cut through the silence. A child's giggle. It was faint, barely audible, but unmistakably familiar. My blood ran cold, my breath caught in my throat. It couldn't be. Could it? I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The laughter came again, closer this time, echoing down the hallway. It seemed to be coming from upstairs, from Esther's old room. A wave of dizziness washed over me. The air grew heavy, suffocating. The scent of decaying flowers, Esther's signature scent, filled my nostrils. It was a smell I had hoped to never encounter again. Terror, primal and consuming, took hold. My legs felt like lead, yet I found myself drawn towards the laughter, towards the source of my fear. "Esther," I whispered, my voice trembling. Silence. And then the soft thud of footsteps. Someone or something was moving around in the attic above. The attic. The one place in the house that still held an unshakable grip on my sanity. It was a realm of shadows and whispers, where the past seemed to linger in every corner. It was Esther's sanctuary, a place where she retreated to indulge in her twisted games. The toys, once innocent, now seemed to carry a malevolent presence. It was there that I had witnessed the true extent of her depravity. Each object told a story, each shadow held a secret. With each step up the creaking stairs, my apprehension grew. The sound echoed in the silence, amplifying my fear. The air grew colder, the darkness more oppressive. It felt as if the walls themselves were closing in on me. The faint scent of decay intensified, clinging to me like a shroud. It was a smell that spoke of forgotten memories and lost time. Shadows danced on the walls, taking on sinister shapes in my fear-clouded mind. They seemed to move with a life of their own, mocking my every step. The laughter had stopped, replaced by an unnerving silence that seemed to pulse with an unseen energy. It was a silence that screamed louder than any sound. Reaching the top of the stairs, I hesitated. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat a reminder of the terror that awaited. The attic door loomed before me, a dark, foreboding entrance to my worst nightmares. It was a threshold I dreaded to cross, yet knew I must. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. It was cold to the touch, sending a fresh wave of shivers down my spine. I took a deep breath, bracing myself for whatever lay on the other side. The door creaked open, the sound like fingernails scraping across a chalkboard. The attic was shrouded in darkness, the only light filtering in through cracks in the boarded windows. Dust motes danced in the air, creating a swirling vortex of unease. And then I saw her, a small figure, silhouetted against the faint light from the window. It was Esther, or at least it looked like her. The same long blonde hair, the same pale skin, the same piercing blue eyes that seemed to bore into my soul. "Esther!" I whispered, my voice barely a tremor in the stillness. The figure turned towards me, a slow, deliberate movement that sent chills down my spine. The light caught her face, illuminating a countenance that was both familiar and terrifyingly different. Her eyes, once filled with childish mischief, now held a cold, calculating intelligence that belied her years. Her lips curved into a cruel smile, revealing teeth that seemed sharper, more predatory than before. "Hello, Kate," she said, her voice a raspy whisper that sent shivers down my spine. "You've come back." Terror threatened to overwhelm me. My legs turned to jelly. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be happening. Esther was gone. Dead, wasn't she? Time seemed to stand still, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. We stared at each other, predator and prey, bound by a shared history of fear and pain, a connection that neither of us could escape. The air crackled with an unseen energy, a palpable tension that made it difficult to breathe, as if the very atmosphere was charged with our unresolved past. "How?" I managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper, trembling with the weight of unspoken questions. "You're gone?" Esther finished, her smile widening, a sinister curve that sent chills down my spine. "They never found my body, did they?" Her voice echoed in the silence, a haunting reminder of the mystery that had consumed us all. Not all of me, anyway. Her words hung in the air, a grim testament to the horrors we had faced. Her words were like shards of ice piercing my heart. It was true, every chilling word. Despite the extensive search, the authorities had never recovered Esther's body, leaving a void that could never be filled. Only a few of her belongings were found scattered near the edge of the woods, relics of a life abruptly interrupted. "You're not real," I whispered, more to myself than to her, trying to convince my own mind. "This is just a nightmare," I told myself, desperately clinging to the hope that I would wake up. A trick of my imagination, a cruel illusion that my mind had conjured in the darkness. "Is it?" Esther laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the attic. "Or am I the nightmare you can never escape from?" She took a step towards me, her movements unnaturally fluid, almost predatory. Panic surged through me, raw and consuming. I stumbled back, my foot catching on a loose floorboard. The world spun as I fell, my back hitting the hardwood floor with a thud. I scrambled to my feet, my heart pounding in my chest, but it was too late. Esther was upon me, her cold, clammy hands reaching for my throat. Her eyes blazed with a terrifying intensity, her smile a grotesque parody of a child's glee. I screamed, a primal sound born of pure terror, as darkness swallowed me whole. When I awoke, the attic was empty, a hollow shell of what it once was. Dust motes danced in the faint light filtering through the grimy windows, creating an almost ethereal glow in the otherwise dark and forgotten space. The air was heavy with the smell of decay, a chilling reminder of the encounter I had just experienced. The walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past, their paint peeling away like old memories. Had it been real? Or was it merely a hallucination, a manifestation of my guilt and fear? My mind raced with questions, each one more unsettling than the last. As I stumbled out of the attic and into the bright light of day, one thing was terrifyingly clear. The world outside seemed unchanged, yet I felt a profound shift within me. Esther was gone, but her presence lingered. It was as if the very air around me was charged with her essence, an invisible force that I could not escape. Trapped within the walls of the old house, woven into the very fabric of my being. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind seemed to carry her voice. I was free from her physical grasp, but the haunting, the terror was far from over. Her memory clung to me like a shadow, always lurking just out of sight. She would be with me always, a constant reminder of the past that I could never truly leave behind. A chilling echo of a past I could never escape, forever etched into the corners of my mind and the depths of my soul.